Hey y'all, welcome to an episode of Muddy Crow Yarncast, where we talk about all good things yarn. Today I have just a few things to share. I've got a finished object to show you that I'm super excited about. I've got a fiber festival to talk a little bit about. And then some future knitting plans to talk about. So let's get into it. So I'm going to start right away with my fabulous socks for my fabulous friend Diane. She had gifted me just gobs and gobs of lovely, wonderful yarn that we are already digging into, my daughter and I. And I wanted to knit her a pair of socks as a thank you gift. And when I asked her what colors she liked, she said, make them scrappy, make them look like Joseph and his multicolored coat. So that's what I'm calling them, Diane and the Socks of Many Colors. And here's the finished object. One sock, they're both finished. It has just been a blast. I started these last weekend and I just grafted the toe 20 minutes ago. So I can finally say I've knit an entire pair of socks from one weekend to the next. It was a little more than a week. I think I started them on a Friday night and then finishing them on a Sunday morning. But I'm pleased with that accomplishment. They are cuffed down, 2x2 rib. And I did the rib for just as much yarn as I had in that golden yellow. And then they're kind of a midi length. They're not shorties, they're like a midi length. So something comfy and cozy. And then I did a shadow wrap heel, which gives you that option to do contrasting heels without breaking up your pattern that you've got going, and without having to go back as an afterthought and put it in, and it gives you that classic shape. And I've really been liking the shadow wrap heels a lot. And then I just did a standard wedge. It's a rounded wedge toe. Let me show you on this one so you can see kind of the rounded shape of it. This is my first sock that's knit in a size that's just totally different from my own and my daughter's. And there's a lot of anxiety in that. Everything measured. I used, all the stitch guides out there, my gauge is on, the circumference is right according to the charts, but I really want them to fit her. So I hope they do, but I am very pleased with them. They're so bright and fun and happy, just like my friend Diane. So I still have to weave in the ends, but this week, Diane, I will have them ready for you. Okay, so let's talk about yesterday. Yesterday was such a good day. The kids and I hit the road. We stopped at a craft festival in a couple of towns over. My dear friend Dee, who is an incredible woodworker, was doing her first show. She had made a variety of wooden toys like tops and animal cutouts and animal puzzles. She makes wooden pens. She turns them on her lathe. Just stunning work. And so we stopped by, saw her, got a few things. I have been in love with her tops. Okay, we're gonna try that again. So we stopped by and saw her and got to visit with her for a while, and I picked up a few things, but I knew I wanted one of her tops. Her tops, okay, we're gonna try this again. I was able to do it earlier. There we go. They're just so light and balanced, and when you're not spinning it on your hand, they spin and spin and spin and spin. And so I was really pleased to be able to bring home one of her tops. And yes, this is for me and not my kids. And she just did an amazing job. So I love it. It was fun to see her and watch her have her first show. And I hope it was amazing. You did great, Dee. And then we went on over another town over to Camdenton, Missouri, and we went to the Lake Area Fiber Artists. Lake Area Fiber Arts Festival is what it was called, by the Lake Area Fiber Artists Guild. And it was an auditorium that was just full of vendors, from local vendors to vendors from out of state. There was everything you can imagine, from quilting and embroidering and cross-stitching to yarn and anything that you could possibly need for fiber arts. It was so expertly put together. Everything was smooth and seamless as a visitor to go through. It seemed very well attended, but not so crowded that you couldn't shop. And I really, really loved that. The vendors were very nice. They were very nice to my son. And sometimes when you bring a 6-year-old boy to a fiber festival or a quilt shop, sometimes it's not well received, but everybody was just so kind and allowed him to have all of those sensory experiences. And it just brought me so much joy that my son was able to go. He was able to see all the men that were there as well and know that this is not just a woman's art, and to be encouraged. And so, I feel like every last vendor that was there that was encouraging to my son, you guys are helping to bring up the next generation. And it just made me really happy. My daughter's also a fiber artist. She has entirely, completely taught herself to crochet, and I'm so impressed with her. And I think one of my favorite things is just sitting together, and I'm knitting and she's crocheting, and it's nice. I like it. But we both joined the guild. I'd never joined before, not because I don't like the guild, but most guilds are not engineered for the working person, and most meetings are on during working times. And that's true here too. But they also put on, so not just the Fiber Festival, but they do Fiber U in July every year. And I have no qualms whatsoever in supporting the guild with my membership to be able to put those on. Even though I can't make the monthly meetings, they're doing great work. Speaking of Fiber U, put that on your calendar. Next July 20 and 21. And it's going to be at the Cohen Civic Center in Lebanon, Missouri. Also upcoming is the Columbia Weavers and Spinners Guild Holiday Exhibition Sale, November 17th and 18th at the American Legion in Columbia, Missouri. So save the date for that. No doubt that'll be a good one to go to as well. I'm sure you can find this on Facebook. CWSG Holiday Exhibition and Sale, it says on there. So put that on your calendar too. I met a few people that I just really enjoyed conversations. I really enjoyed what they had. This is one of them, treasuregoddess.com. You can sign up for her newsletter. And then I met Donna Simpson from Red Door Fibers, and while I loved my entire experience there, I feel like she and her husband were my favorite experience at the Fiber Festival. She is Red Door Fibers. She's out of Wichita, Kansas, and she specializes in silk blends, so all different types of wools, and then also like everything has a blend of silk. And her skill is evident by what she brought, but she was very welcoming. She was just very engaging, and you just felt right at home in her booth. And her husband was one of those who was engaging with my son as well. And so I have a hank of yarn that I'm now pattern shopping. Let's get that label. Red Door Fibers. This is called, her colorway called Tequila Sunrise, and it's 70% superwash merino, 20% silk, and 10% cashmere. It's a fingering weight. It's 437 yards to 100 grams. And this is so luscious and luxurious that I know that I'm gonna have to make something with it that goes around my neck, because it's too soft to make for my feet. And of course it has all the colors that I love. It's got the blues and the caramel colors, and so I'm pattern shopping. I'm thinking of a like a one skein stockinette shawl that I can wear on the front side and maybe pin it. Something like that. Maybe something lacy. I like stockinette for hand-dyed fibers because there's so much effort and technique that goes into the dyeing that I don't want to lose that. I don't want to break that up with lace or with texture or other kind of pattern stitching. I think when I'm knitting with hand-dyed fibers, I want to let the color do the talking rather than the pattern. And so that's why I tend to stick with the stockinette. And that's probably what I'll do with this, is something in stockinette to let those colors just be fabulous. And that's it. I've got some knitting that's Christmas knitting, so I can't show that to you. I'm pattern shopping, like I said, for my Red Door Silk Blend wool. And I am thinking about the next pair of socks to cast on now that my socks in a week are all done. And we shall see what we come up with next.